Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. As always, I'm your host, Mayor Fatemi. Finishing up another packed weekend of NBA playoff basketball. Our first completed week of the NBA playoffs in the books, and it was an unbelievable playoff weekend in general. To start off the show, we got another packed show for you guys lined up for you guys today. Starting right off the top, we're going to talk a little bit about the Los Angeles Lakers falling down 3-1 to the Minnesota Timberwolves. That's a series a lot of people have had their eyes on. Honestly, a series that's that was kind of underrated to start off the playoffs. A lot of people kind of possibly overrating the Lakers a little bit. We're going to get into that in the first segment of our show. Underrating the Timberwolves, overrating the Lakers. Not talking a whole lot about the Lakers' issues overall, and Minnesota's absolutely exploited those to perfection in this series. It's a big reason why they're up 3-1 in this series, and it's a big reason why they won Game 4 on Sunday afternoon. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. Next from there, we're going to take a look at the New York Knicks and Detroit Pistons series. Pistons now down 3-1 in that series. Something I cannot believe they drop both games at home this weekend. Flat out experience showing its colors here, showing why experience matters in the playoffs, and just overall the Pistons' youth is in full display. We're going to talk a whole lot about that in the second segment of our show. And then from there, we're going to talk a little bit about the Orlando Magic, how they possibly might have the most room to improve in the offseason with how they've played against the Boston Celtics in their series. That series now 3-1 in favor of Boston, but these last two games in Orlando have been both unbelievable games, really. Two games that a lot of people have been underrating, two games that a lot of people said the Orlando Magic have no chance, the Celtics are going to sweep. Orlando heard all of that and said, nah, we're not gonna listen to that today. So we're gonna talk a whole lot about the Orlando Magic, where they can improve upon, where their strengths lie, and where they stack up with the rest of the Eastern Conference. And then from there, we're gonna talk a little bit about the Indiana Pacers and Milwaukee Bucks series. That series now 3-1 in favor of the Indiana Pacers. We'll talk a little bit about Damian Lillard and his health, a little bit of a health scare yesterday in the game against the Indiana Pacers, falling down in what looked like a non-contact injury and what's now been ruled what potentially could be a severe one, and what it could be ruled. So we'll talk about that later in the show. And then from there, just preview the Rockets and Warriors series, which is 2-1 in favor of this Golden State Warriors team. But before I move any further, I know that was a whole lot. I'm sorry. It's just packed weekend of NBA basketball sports. Have to give you guys a lineup of the show, what the show's going to look like before we get deeper into this one. But before I move any further, I'd like to remind you guys to please like and follow the show for more GSMC Sports Network content. Also, we get a number of questions that come in during the show, so to ensure that your question gets read on air, I ask that you use the tips and donations link at gsmcpodcast.net. This puts your question at the top of the list so I see it. It also really helps out the show. Again, the link is gsmcpodcast.net for all your questions and comments. But getting right into it here, we had an absolutely packed weekend of NBA playoff basketball, especially on Sunday. Sunday, we had 4 games, all running from 1 p.m. to about midnight Eastern time. West Coast, 10 a.m. to 9 p.m., give or take, something like that, 9:30. It was an unbelievably packed weekend of sports. And especially in the NBA, this is the best time. This is the best time of year for a lot of sports these days. This is the best time of teams teams working for this time of year, building their success, building their momentum for right now. So let's just get right into it. The Los Angeles Lakers down 3-1 against the Minnesota Timberwolves. Something a lot of people did not expect, myself included. I picked the Los Angeles Lakers to win this one in 6 games. I thought the star power of Luka Dončić and LeBron James would be too much for an Anthony Edwards to handle by himself. let's just say I did not expect the guys that Anthony Edwards had around him, and I absolutely underrated those guys. Guys like Jaden McDaniels, guys like Julius Randle, Naz Reid, Dante DiVincenzo on the defensive end of the ball. Guys, this Minnesota Timberwolves team is not a bad team. It's their team. They're proving right now that this Minnesota Timberwolves team can go all the way to the conference finals, if not the NBA finals. If they pull I think they're scratching the surface for one of those teams that can contend with the Oklahoma City Thunder. That's what this Timberwolves team is proving right now. A young Timberwolves team. They got a lot of veterans with adding Julius Randle to the team in the offseason, continuing to grow around their core guys of Anthony Edwards, Jaden McDaniels, Naz Reid, adding a Dante DiVincenzo, bringing him from the New York Knicks, and with a trade with sending Karl Anthony Towns to New York. Still have Rudy Gobert and a Defensive Player of the Year candidate in as their center. This team is by far. I don't know what I was thinking. Like, what were any of us thinking? To underrate a team like this? On paper, this team can stack up with anybody in the Western Conference. But when you watch them in person, when Julius Randle can shoot he shot 9 for 22, but in the first half he was lights out from his shot was lights out in general in the first half. Anthony Edwards dropping 43 points in Game 4. 43 points, 12 of 23, 5 of 10 from three-point range. Absolutely leading the way for this Minnesota Timberwolves team. Jaden McDaniels continuing to prove why he's an X factor in this series. Game 1 in averages. In the games that they won in Game 1 and Game 3, I believe he's averaged about 25 points in both of those games. Game 2, I believe he only had 9 points. And it was a big reason why that offense was sputtering the way it was in Los Angeles. But yeah, he's been an absolute crucial X factor on the offensive end. Continuing to be a defensive guru. Only one steal in Game 1, in Game 4, but continued to be causing Luka Dončić a whole bunch of problems on the offensive end of the ball. Overall, Jaden McDaniels is a top wing defender in this league. We know he is. He's Marcus Smart-esque in terms of how he can defend the wing offensive players like the Jason Tatums of the world, the Luka Dončić, the SGAs of the world. Simple point guard, small shooting guard, small forward is right in Jaden McDaniels' wheelhouse, and he's continuing to prove that right now. Another player that's not gotten a lot of love and continued to prove his worth, especially in the fourth quarter of Game 4, is Naz Reid. A player that scored all 12 of his points in the fourth quarter, did not miss a shot in the fourth quarter, made big bucket after big bucket down the stretch in the clutch. I believe he made 2 or 3 threes in a row in the last 4 minutes of the game. The Lakers, the Timberwolves stole this game. The Lakers had the lead in this game for 96% of it, all the way up to about the 4-minute mark of the fourth quarter. They had control. They went into the fourth quarter with a 10-point lead. They went into halftime with the lead. They held control of this game offensively better than I've seen them all season, all playoffs. In all of their games, this was their best game offensively, for sure. But the way they were a balanced attack, the way they controlled the pace, the way they forced the Minnesota Timberwolves to take bad shots early on, at least before the fourth quarter, it was nothing short of, I don't want to call it, I would call it spectacular if they won, but it was a great performance offensively from this team. Luka Dončić finishing with 38 points, LeBron with 28 and 12, 27 points, 12 rebounds, Rui Hachimura being the X factor in this one, finishing with 23 points. Rui Hachimura was absolutely an X factor in this one. His shooting down the stretch, his shooting overall in the whole game, he finished with 23 points. Shot 5 of 10 from three-point range, shot 9 of 16 from the field. Major props to Rui Hachimura, a player that has been kind of not taking a hit, but a guy after the Anthony Davis trade, bringing Jackson Hayes with being the big name in the center position, in the big man position for this team. But Rui Hachimura has been, the way he can shoot the ball, the way he can play like a Karl Anthony Towns-esque. He can shoot, he can defend, he can get in the low post. I called him, while I was watching, I called him masked up Rui because he had the mask on his face. We all remember masked up Kyrie or LeBron back in the day, in those Cleveland days. It was a great performance from Rui, and I was really happy to see his success. He's a player that does not get a lot of love, especially with the big three in LA. Kind of just gets the eye to the side. Just nobody really, just good to see him succeed overall. But yeah, I think this game, I don't have a whole lot of time in this segment, but I'll get into it really quickly. This game came down to what I've mentioned time and time again with this Los Angeles Lakers team. Something that's been glaring since probably game 2. When they lost game 3 the way the Lakers did, even though Luka Dončić was sick, there was reports that Luka Dončić was throwing up on the sideline, having a tough time, especially when he reached the fourth quarter of that game, just tired, exhausted, only finished with 17 points in game 3. Something we don't really expect from Luka Dončić come playoff time very much. But Luka Dončić cannot do it by himself. LeBron James cannot do it by himself. When you have 5 players playing 32 minutes in the second half, playing every minute of the second half, all 5 players not playing any substitutions, and you expect a 40-year-old, you look at a 40-year-old in LeBron James that plays 46 minutes and scores 0 points in the fourth quarter because he gets 0 rest in the second half. Turnover after turnover. He's going to get a lot. He got so much heat because of this game. You saw it time and time again. It's everywhere online right now. And it's because he has the name and he has the image that he has, the brand that LeBron James holds. But you have to look beyond LeBron in this state. In this one, you cannot look at LeBron and say this one's on LeBron. To have 7 turnovers combined between Luka and LeBron, to have all 5 players playing every minute of the second half, to have almost no contribution from your bench, Dorian Finney-Smith scoring 6 points off your bench. Trying to pull up exactly how many points the full bench scored, but overall, just not. What are you going to do? Against a team like the Minnesota Timberwolves that's so well balanced, top to down, from start to finish. Dante DiVincenzo, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Naz Reid, Mike Conley, Rudy Gobert, Jaden McDaniels, Julius Randle. The only player that got minutes last night that doesn't really have much of a name, that we don't know much about, is Tyler Shannon Jr. And I'm sorry, I don't know who that is. I don't watch a whole lot of Timberwolves basketball, but from outside of the 9 names that I mentioned, 8 of them are significant good role players. A well-balanced team centered around Anthony Edwards. They brought Julius Randle in to give him some more offensive help. They still have Rudy Gobert as the lob threat. They still have Jaden McDaniels as the defensive guy. They still have Mike Conley as the floor general for this team. This is one of the most well-balanced teams in the NBA, and that matters in the NBA playoffs. As much as star power matters, like the Lakers have with LeBron and Luka, overall well-balanced also is key in the playoffs, and that's what the Timberwolves proved last night in this one. Major props to them. They're up 3-1, and it looks like the Lakers are going down. So we're going to have to make a separate segment about what really transpired in Los Angeles this season, giving a full recap from the Luka trade to Anthony Davis in the regular season, the way he was showing out the first 2/3 of the season before February rolled around, and then what really happened to this team in the playoffs. We're going to have to go over everything that happened in this one. So that'll be something for another day, though. So I'm going to take another short break. When we come back, we're going to take a look at the New York Knicks going up 3-1 on the Detroit Pistons. Overall, something I did not expect from the Detroit Pistons, and an X factor that proved itself not only in Game 3, but in Game 4 as well. 2 games that really revolved around one guy in particular that has not gotten a whole lot of love from me, a player that I've kind of not really scoffed at or sneezed at, but somebody that I've underrated for a while, and it's time to give him his flowers. I'm going to take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to take a look at New York Knicks basketball. Don't go anywhere.